Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's wife that he doesn't own my home? So I inherited my childhood 3-bedroom home after my mother passed away 5 years ago, along with a good chunk of cash. I live in that home right now, and not to brag, but it's a beautiful home. Now, I have a half-brother. We will call him Blake, and we share the same father, also dead. Blake is a deadbeat. Can't keep a job, jumps from relationship to relationship, make excuses, and blame everyone else for his problems. Just really not a good guy. But with my parents gone, he is the only family I have left. So I try to work around it, and he has been living with me for a year and a half now after getting kicked out of his own apartment for not paying rent. Then, he went and got his newest girlfriend knocked up, and decided that meant they needed to get married right away. They got married at our local courthouse. Now I agreed to have her move in. She's carrying my niece or nephew after all. It's been 3 months since they got married, and she moved in, and she'd been rude, demanding, and just outright the worst the whole time. Originally, I chalked it up to being pregnant, but then one day she comes up to me and tells me that I have to move out. I'm confused and ask her what she means. She goes on about how with the baby coming, it's time to leave because they need a space. I tell her she has no right to kick me out of my own house, and she comments that since she married my brother, the house was part of hers now too, and that it's weird to have your husband's brother living with you and your kid. I realized then that she thought my brother owned at least part of the house, so I explained that she and my brother were in fact living with me, not the other way around. Letting her know I fully own it, and my brother has no rights to it, and neither did she. She goes quiet and runs off. When my brother comes home, they get in a huge fight, and she leaves to go to her mother's. My brother is now mad at me for telling her the truth. Honestly, up until this point I thought she knew, but my brother claims he didn't tell her he owns it. She knew the house was inherited, and since we're brothers, she assumed he owned half, and he just never corrected her. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's wife that he doesn't own my home? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and here's a tip. Get rid of them. Both of them. Have a nice day. Your brother is about to be a father to some poor unfortunate child and needs to start adulting. Right now, you're just enabling him to continue to be feckless. Not the a-hole. Decent chance she scarpers off, now that she realizes her marriage does not give her a share of the house. Getting pregnant and forcing marriage may have been accidentally on purpose, under the assumption half-brother had assets, which would explain why she's not so happy. Of course, if OP is silly enough to continue underwriting her life, she'll stick around. If it was accidentally on purpose, then if she's truly plucky, there is a decent chance she'll see whether she can change horses. It's a tricky maneuver to jump from one saddle to another while underway, but she may just see it as an enjoyable challenge. Not the a-hole, but you are foolish for letting them mooch off you like this. Prime example of why found family or none can be better than given. If Opie put his effort into his meaningful friendships rather than these two gluttons, he'd be better for it. Not the a-hole, but Opie, have you talked to a lawyer? I've read about people finding loopholes and somehow ending up with property that wasn't originally theirs. Make sure you protect yourself. Typically, that happens when the owner doesn't live there, and the other party has lived there for years and years. The girlfriend discovered the brother owned the house, and then demand he leave still. So she clearly has some rational thoughts in her head. Adverse possession has to be hostile. That is, if they have explicit permission to live there, they are never going to just end up with the property. The worst they can do is drag an eviction battle out. Next story. Am I the a-hole for losing it with my former mother-in-law and saying I don't want to help her granddaughter? My ex-husband died 6 months ago. We were divorced for 3 years. Prior to that, after he cheated on me for about 6 years with a woman he married after our divorce. Ex and I share 3 children together, a 17-year-old son, 16-year-old daughter, and a 15-year-old daughter. Ex got his second wife pregnant while we were married, which is how the affair got revealed in the first place. I kicked him out and cut ties, except for semi-civil co-parenting. I have never had anything to do with his daughter who is now 3. After my ex died, my former mother-in-law took her in temporarily. She's in poor health, and my ex was her only child. The mother of the child had no family who was willing to take her, so she wanted to try and keep her out of foster care. My former mother-in-law asked me about 2 months ago to consider raising her granddaughter, seeing as she's the half-sibling of my children. I told her I did not want to do that. She spoke to my children, and they refused to ask me on her behalf. She suggested that my children might want to keep her in their family, and how could I deny them that chance? So I asked my children if they had any thoughts or plans to take her on once any of them were 18, and they all said no. My son said his grandma had mentioned that to him, but he didn't care. My girls share a similar sentiment, though she did not ask them directly. Former mother-in-law reached out again, and I told her my answer was still no. She suggested that her granddaughter is my family, and I cut her off and said that is not true. I told her I am not the child's mother, stepmother, and nor anything that would imply family. She told me she will need to let a caseworker know in the coming weeks that she needs a foster home if I can't take her. She told me to do it for her granddaughter, that she's innocent. How can I not love her? And rambled on a lot about that. So I lost my cool, snapped at her, and told her I don't want to help her granddaughter, and foster care is the best place for her if she can't raise her. Former mother-in-law told me I was a horrible, evil woman, and that it was no wonder my children don't care about their sister when I had that attitude about her, and she hoped one day it wouldn't come back to bite me in the butt. Am I the a-hole for the way I spoke to her and for what I said about her granddaughter? Edited to add, X and his wife, aka the mother of the child, both died. It was a car crash. Not the a-hole. Yes, the child is a half-sibling to your children, but that does not create an obligation on your part. Some people are able to take on roles like your mother-in-law is suggesting, and some people can't/won't. There is nothing wrong with that. Your ex-mother-in-law needs to back off. This was her choice. Now she can deal with it. And how great of a life would that child even have? Being raised by the person who was cheated on, and her being a constant reminder of the infidelity. Seems kinder to give her a clean slate with a new family that can love her without baggage. To clarify, the clean slate would be the foster family not seeing the daughter as the product of an affair. Unfortunately, I don't think there are many outcomes where she doesn't go through trauma. I've heard my share of stories from adults who were the love child, and it's really heartbreaking to hear how the immediate and extended family couldn't unsee the betrayal, and the child suffered. I had one woman tell me she felt guilty for being alive. Apparently, she's choosing the path where she loses all of her grandchildren too. Raising a 3-year-old when your youngest is 15, even if it was a good friend's kid, it's a lot to ask, and depending who, too much to ask. I would definitely cut contact if she's trying to guilt the children because of this. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It is insane for the ex-mother-in-law to try to rope you into this. He went above and beyond even talking to her kids about this. That child has been dealt a terrible hand, and I hope she isn't failed by the foster system. I mean, it's not insane. It's desperate. I can understand 100% why she's trying to do it, but also why it's never going to happen. Everyone has been dealt a crappy hand here, and it's obviously gotten to an inevitable and pleasant conclusion. She's lashed out, which she obviously shouldn't, but the whole thing is just sad. No a-holes here, just a terrible situation that pushed people too far. No a-holes here. You are completely within your rights to say no, and I don't blame you. At the same time, I cannot fault a grieving mother for fighting tooth and nail to try to protect her grandchild from being mistreated in the foster care system. This is an awful situation all around. Next story. Am I the a-hole for liquidating my daughter's college fund to keep our dream house? I, 50 female, lost my husband 4 years ago. I also have a 16-year-old daughter. My late husband left me everything and told me to trust his lawyer. My husband had worked for 20 years as a doctor and did some minor investing, so I inherited over 7 figures. A year later, I decided to list our home of 12 years and received an offer too good to refuse. With the inheritance, as well as the influx of cash from selling the house, I decided to move my daughter and I to Malibu because we always dreamed of a home next to the beach. But my husband was exceptionally tight-fisted and called homes their money pits. We found a beautiful home by the sea. I never personally handled anything regarding buying a home before, so I did not anticipate all the extra costs beyond the sticker price. But my daughter was so excited, so I decided to go for it. My late husband's lawyer was furious at my decision, so I decided to stop taking his calls, and I ended up signing with a money manager who said that we'd be passively earning 90% of what surgeons earn per year. But the money manager ended up tanking a lot of our investments. I took the dwindling money out and made my own investments, which made it worse. And long story short, because all of that, I only have around $35,000 available to me now. Not to mention our debts. With the amount available to me, I'm looking at only being able to pay 1 month of a mortgage/upkeep. And then I'm basically out of luck until my business gets clients. However, The place where we do have a significant amount of money is the fund my husband started for our daughter. With the money there, I could prevent our credit cards from being shut down and not have to worry about the mortgage for many more months. So I ended up liquidating my daughter's college fund. I told her about it today, and she was furious and said she cannot believe all her dad's work is gone. She also said she won't be supporting me for my retirement. Am I the a-hole for trying to fix my mistakes and trying to keep our house? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. You decided not to listen to the lawyer. You decided to move on to an extremely expensive place. And you decided to trust someone's shady advice. Now you're taking away your daughter's chances of being able to go to college loan-free? That money's not yours. You should be ashamed of yourself. He has it right. Malibu is a money pit for empty Airbnbs. One grocery store on the highway with outrageous prices. And almost no food except for tourist traps. Opie essentially gambled her 7-figure life savings, ruined her daughter's future, and now asks if she's an a-hole. Literally couldn't make some of the stuff up that I read on the sub. Yes, Opie, you're a selfish a-hole. You're the a-hole. You made an extremely poor financial decision and disregarded those around you who were offering you more sound financial advice. Having a home near the beach doesn't mean you need to move to Malibu, but I digress. You are absolutely the a-hole here. You robbed your daughter of a chance to start her life off comfortably and took money that was never intended for you. Sell this godforsaken money pit of a home, get somewhere you can actually afford, and take a class in personal finance management. Also, grow up? Opie literally ghosted the attorney because they weren't telling her what she wanted to hear. I have a few lawyers in my social circle, and this is extremely common. From the sounds of it, emphasis on the extremely. This is what we want to do. That's illegal. You'll almost definitely be caught. It's a waste of your time and money. Well, I want to do it. I advise the exact opposite. Here's a list of reasons this is a terrible idea. God, this is why people hate lawyers. You don't get it. It's a conversation I think I've heard complained about dozens of times at least. Lol. Why would someone hire a lawyer for legal advice and then completely fly in the face of it? Hell if I know. I'm a lawyer. Can't confirm. People ask lawyers whether they can or should do something and then become furious when we tell them no. You don't hear from them again until the thing they did anyway blows up in their face, at which point they are still furious. But this time it's because you didn't stop them. Just like on AITA, people are more interested in validation than the truth. And this is one of many reasons why I am no longer in legal practice. Last story. Am I the a-hole for ruining a wedding, although I told the bride I shouldn't sit next to my ex? I was in a relationship from 18 to 24 years old. He was 5 years older. He wanted children and marriage in the next 2 years, but I didn't want that at a time, so I broke up with him. I was sad about the breakup, but I knew that it was the right decision. I wanted to study without a child as I was 1 year away from finishing, travel with friends, and enjoying my 20s. After 1 year of our breakup, I had a one-night stand with a friend who had a crush on me for years, and after realizing I was pregnant, we stayed together. We moved together to another city because of our jobs. After the birth of our daughter, we married. I couldn't be happier with my husband, and we are now together for nearly 5 years and happier than ever. I didn't know if my ex knows that I became a mother, and since I moved away while being pregnant, I missed a lot of birthdays of our mutual friends, and he didn't follow me on social media. Now was the wedding from one of our mutual friends, and I was happy about the invite. But then I got a message from another one of our friends who told me that nobody told my ex that I became a mother and married, and that he didn't seriously date anybody else after the breakup. He's successful in his job and concentrates on that, but his friends are worried that he is lonely. They requested that I come without my child. We actually had this planned before, so my husband and me have enough time to reconnect, and my mother-in-law would be so happy to have our daughter overnight. And also to not mention my husband, which I disagreed. So I asked the bride if she wanted me not to come, and told her the request from our other friends, and she told me that I should definitely come, and that she doesn't see any problem with it. When we arrived at the wedding, we realized that we were seated next to my ex, which I found strange. I went quietly to the bride and told her that would probably be not the best idea, but she brushed it off. My ex barely talked to me but drank a lot. My husband chatted with another person from our table and mentioned our daughter after 2 hours sitting at a table. That's when my ex lost it. He made a big scene and accused me of lying to him about not wanting children. It was so embarrassing. And ultimately, my husband and I left while my ex got carried away by other guests. Since then, I got calls from mutual friends calling me the a-hole because I rubbed my happiness on my ex's face, and I'm a little bit confused. The bride isn't happy and accused me of ruining the wedding since I could just not mention my daughter, and that she was sad about the scene it caused. My ex lost it. He made a big scene and accused me of lying to him about not wanting children. You didn't cause a scene, your ex did. He's the a-hole. And you know what? Your friend is the a-hole too for sitting y'all next to each other, knowing all that history, and she still thought it would be okay? Nope. Seriously, why the heck would she put Opie and her husband next to her ex? They say those that stir the turd pot get to lick the spoon. There was no way the bride didn't know what she was doing. Either she was hoping for drama or hoping to make Opie feel like crap once she saw her ex. Not the a-hole. Oh please, they sat you next to your ex on purpose. There is no way they didn't know he wouldn't behave that way when drinking. It's on him for acting that way, not you. You even asked to be moved. Total setup by her so-called friends thinking they could get you two back together. Pretty obvious whose side they were on when they broke up. The ex probably made himself look like a victim because the woman he wanted wouldn't marry and have kids with him when he was telling her to. And for the past 6 years, they've had to watch this poor sap be miserable that he couldn't control Opie. That even now he feels she owes him an explanation because she had the audacity to have children. And no one tried to get him to move on. Opie's so-called friends probably hoped she would show up alone to not upset the ex, and that they would magically fall back in love. I think the bride was hoping she would see her ex and realize what a huge mistake she made, drop her husband and baby, then run off into the sunset with the ex. Am I the a-hole for moving out while my parents are on vacation? I, female 20, have 3 siblings who live at home. Male 22, male 15, and male 12. My older brother does not work and does not go to school. My middle and youngest brothers are in middle and high school. I have been taking care of them for 6 years now, as my parents both work. I am the only one who cleans and makes food and takes care of the dogs. I have access to a car that I share with my brother, but it takes it to go see his friends and hook up with Tinder randos. So I have to bring home groceries on a bus, because, oh yeah, I also do the grocery shopping. I have tried talking to my parents about it, but they say that my brother is finding himself and the younger ones have to concentrate on school. I'm in my 3rd year of college and it is wrecking me. My boyfriend, 24, has talked to his parents and they are letting me move into the apartment over their garage. He will be paying the rent for the apartment. He lives at home rent-free, but he also graduated and has a great job. So we talked about it and it is fair. We are committed to each other, but we are way too young to think about moving in together or getting married. I'm not saying that this is too young for anyone else. We just know what we want in life. And until I get my nursing degree and get a job, we aren't ready. My parents went away this weekend for NASCAR in Vegas. It is their 3rd vacation this year. I do not begrudge them their holidays. They both work hard, but I am just tired of being an unpaid nanny/dog sitter. So I grabbed my laptop, clothes, and a few other things that I have been gifted, waited for my older brother to get home, then I left. I told him I was going out for milk, but my boyfriend was waiting in the car around the corner. He started texting me about 20 minutes later saying he needed a car. I did not take the car. I left all the keys on the counter, even my house keys. My grandparents pay for my education, so there is literally nothing my parents can hold over me, and I let them know I wasn't coming back. And I let my parents know after the last race that I had left him in charge of the younger kids, and bailed. They drove straight home instead of spending the night partying and driving home today. Everyone is mad at me for being so immature and thoughtless, and I just don't care anymore. I talked to my grandfather and he says that I'm right, that my brothers can look after themselves. My mom keeps calling and complaining that the house is a mess. I was only gone for 9 hours before they got home, but my brothers are pigs. My older brother says I'm an a-hole because my parents are making him do everything that I used to do, and I cannot find it in myself to care. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You keep doing and being who you are and you'll always be a fantastic person. I'm sorry for the attitudes of your parents and brothers. Maybe they'll change, maybe they won't. But by not being there, they will have to face up all you did around the house and for them. I'm sure you'll find that almost everyone reading your post will be mentally sending hugs and support to you. I feel bad for having to sneak out. I feel like I did something wrong. Your feeling of doing something wrong is because your parents put the responsibility of being a parent to your 3 brothers on you, whilst they work or party. You are not your brother's keeper. Let them wallow in their own filth for a while. Your boyfriend and his family seem nice. Good on them and good for you. The parents make it sound as though the brothers are 2, 5, and 7. One of them is a freaking grown-up, and the other two are old enough to be expected to clean up after themselves. OP, look up the definition of gaslighting in the context of emotional abuse on r/raised by narcissists. I believe that would describe the parents' behavior now. To your brother, let me get this straight. You never stood up for me when I was living there. You never helped me with all of the things our parents expected me to do. And you regularly monopolized the car so I had to carry groceries home on public transportation. Why do you expect me to do more for you than you did for me? Especially when I was stuck in that position for years, and you've only been in that role for about a week. To your mother, Mom, I tried to talk to you for years about the unfair burden you were placing on me to clean up after my brothers. Not to mention all the other chores you expected me, and only me, to do. You had opportunity after opportunity to come to a compromise. So now it's yours and Dad's problem, not mine. I now consider the topic closed. So is there something else you would like to talk about? Otherwise, I'll say goodbye for now. And if she continues trying to complain, say goodbye and hang up. Don't stay on the line letting her continue to berate you. Not today, Hall, and good for you for getting out of that situation. It's great to get it all out, but there was nothing you could say to open their eyes and change their minds. I wouldn't even reply. Silence is the best message. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sell my starter home for under market value to my mother and sister? I, 34 male, bought my starter home in my early 20s for $120,000. It's not a huge home. It's a roughly 1,000 square feet, 2-bed, 1/2 bath townhome. But it was perfect for me at a time. I upgraded it and made it my home for 12 years. But now I've decided it's time to move on to something bigger. Now here's my dilemma. My mother, 65, and sister, 30, got wind that I was planning on putting my house on the market. My home was valued at approximately $400,000. But even with their combined income, neither could afford a mortgage that size. So now they want me to sell them my home for the $120,000 I bought it for. I plan on using the equity as a down payment on my new home that is roughly around $600,000. My mom and my sister are angry and they keep trying to convince me to sell the home for undervalue, so they can finally have some stability in their life. My other dilemma is, I've never had a good relationship with either of them and moved out of the state to get away from them. Both of them are angry with me and have dragged the whole family into the drama. Half are on my side and half are on theirs, so I need outside opinions at this point. Not a whole. All the family on their side are welcome to give them a home or money for one. Because if you sell for that price, they can just turn around and sell it and get money right away. Even if they don't sell it, you would be giving them a house basically. Oh wow, you're right. I hadn't even been thinking about this. Of course, they could sell the house for double the price right away, move into a larger house, and watch while OP struggles with a large mortgage on his new home due to the low down payment. No way I'd ever let that possibility arise. Exactly. Even if they live in the house for years, they can sell it for a profit. I definitely think OP's not the a-hole and shouldn't sell. Not the a-hole. Your toxic family, which you moved out of state just to get away from, is asking you to just give them $280,000. That is a bunch of BS, and you should not do it under any circumstances. Sell your house and cut the leeches out of your life for good. I know they won't listen to logic, but I'd simply state, if I sold it to you for that much, I wouldn't be able to afford to move. Not the a-hole. If you sell it to them for $120,000, I guarantee they'll put it on the market for $400,000 within a year. Exactly my thought. I say a year is giving them too much credit. Not the a-hole. This is wild. Your family clearly isn't thinking about your interests or needs at all, or only seeing a potential windfall for themselves and are straight out to lunch. I was expecting this to be something like, house valued at $400K. They can afford $300K only, but I still need that $20K. That situation is a bit more gray, and some people would eat that loss for a family. But to ask you to swallow $280,000? A loss of 2.5 times what they want to pay. If you somehow lose your mind and cave to their demands, I guarantee they turn around and flip it, because that extra $200K would buy them a lot of stability that they deserve. And how dare you be so selfish as to accuse them of selfishness? Imagine trying to buy a house in 2022 for 2010 prices. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking away a gift? My 25 female brother, 17 male, is quite the golden child and is worshipped by everyone in our house, including me. He always gets his way, and sometimes even we let him. I started observing since past year he has become increasingly entitled and always expects that his demands would be fulfilled. When I first realized we were the ones who were enabling him, I started to say no to stuff which I found unreasonable. I even talked to my parents, but they think he is a teen and that's how they are. Around a few months back, my company laptop stopped working and I had to buy a new laptop. As my company said a new device won't be available for at least a month, as there was some procurement issue. My brother insisted I should buy a gaming laptop as they don't lag, and he suggested a model which was within my budget. He said he will play games on it an hour a day, which I did not mind. I received a new laptop from my work approximately 3 weeks ago, and my brother insisted I gift him the gaming laptop I purchased. I said I can play with it like he has been doing, but it is not a gift. He kept on insinuating it is his laptop to his friends. He is now addicted to it, and last Sunday he spent 12 plus hours playing some online game. I told him he needs to return my laptop and I will be password protecting it. He started yelling and calling me selfish to take his gift back. I told him it was never his to begin with, and I do not wish to enable his addiction. He is throwing tantrums now about how I'm taking away a gift from him. My parents think it is his life, and I have no right to interfere. I said they can buy him a laptop then, but I'm not enabling him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Change the password. He doesn't respect your possession and is doing the old give him an inch, take a mile. Don't let him near it again. And set a boundary about it being your work laptop, not a gaming laptop you bought him as a gift. This, but be prepared to hide it from him or take it with you. He sounds like the type that would break it just because he won't give in. I'd start keeping everything locked up if he's as volatile as I think he is. I've seen what gaming addiction does to people and it's not nice. Not the a-hole. If your company has given you the laptop you need, just shut the argument down. Sell the other laptop. You'll be doing your brother a favor in the long run. And you'll be the parents he doesn't have because your parents certainly aren't doing the job. Not the a-hole. Absolute best suggestion. Sell it so it's not around for him to hack, sabotage, or steal if you let your guard down. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Is your laptop that is trying to commandeer. I'm shocked your parents are allowing him to play games for 12 hours a day and basically steal your laptop. Take back what's yours. Maybe if he worked even part-time, he could afford his own laptop. You don't even realize how many parents do this. My brother-in-law became a diagnosed narcissist thanks to them LMAO. It's always have patience and not telling him to shut the heck up. He's 25, and he is and will always be the one who can say the worst things to everyone, having tantrums. But if you dare telling something to him, you're dead to them. Guess what? His only friend is his mom. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister not to have another baby? My 27 female sister 29 never wanted to get married. She just doesn't like marriage. Nothing wrong with that. But she still wanted to have kids. So, she had a baby with her long-term boyfriend. Well, her boyfriend doesn't help her do anything. He doesn't work. He gets disability. His issue has long since resolved, but he still collects somehow. So he pays for some bills, but not much. He doesn't help with housework, and he barely helps with her now 1.5-year-old. He just plays video games all day. I've seen it when I come over to babysit. My sister works from home, so she will be on a wireless headset having a conference call with a baby on her hip, while she's cleaning the kitchen and her boyfriend will be playing video games in the living room. And that's the situation every time I come over. And my sister tells me that's what it's always like. I work full-time as a nurse, so I come over to help when I can, but I also work third shift. And my sister lives almost 2 hours away, so it's hard for me to help a lot. She's gotten mad at me several times for not helping babysit enough. I had a 2-week vacation last winter and she got mad at me for not babysitting a whole lot while I was on vacation. I want to help because I love her and my niece, but I work a lot too, and the drive is long and I'm just tired a lot. Well, 2 weeks ago we were talking, and she told me that she and her boyfriend were going to try for another baby soon, and if things work out, they were hoping to have another baby by next Thanksgiving. I said to her, "Are you sure it's a good idea to have a second baby when your boyfriend barely helps you with the first one?" It just blurted out of my mouth. She got all defensive and tried to tell me that he does help some, but I reminded her that she tells me all the time how he doesn't help. And I've seen for myself how he just plays video games while she does everything. She got really mad. and said, well, maybe if you helped more, then it wouldn't seem like everything is on my shoulders. After some back and forth arguing, I got up and left. She told our mom what I said, and our mom got all mad at me saying I was an a-hole for upsetting my sister, and my brother got on me about it too. I don't think I was in the wrong though, but I'm not so sure at this point. Not the a-hole. Generally, my stance is that only the people having the children get to decide if he and when to procreate. But since she feels entitled to your time and effort as a babysitter as part of her childcare plans, you get to put in your 2 cents. Reach back out and say, I am sorry that I did not react well to your plans for another child. That is a decision between you and your boyfriend, and I should not have provided unsolicited advice. However, I want to make clear that if my participation as a babysitter for your children is being factored into your decision, consider this fair warning that I will not babysit for you again if you have a second child. Whether or not you have children is your choice. Whether or not I help care for them is mine. I will be present in your children's lives if you want me to be, but not in a caregiving role. Not a hole. How does she have more anger reserved for you who lives 2 hours away than her deadbeat's boyfriend? You need to take yourself completely out of the picture. Do not help her ungrateful butt with anything anymore and just ignore these tantrums. Easy. Denial. She's in denial about who she picked to have a baby with. She'd rather ignore the colossal mistake she made by doubling down with another baby and spite for Opie. Opie's sister seems like she's doing a lot of mental gymnastics to come to these conclusions. Well, maybe if you helped more, then it wouldn't seem like everything is on my shoulders. Tough love time? It's supposed to be on your shoulders. You and your partner, not mine. You will be taking care of your child by yourself from here on out. Then if you want another baby, knock yourself out/up. Not stay home, but immediately stop supporting her. She is using you, and she's not going to get it unless she figures it out for herself. It's a mercy to her for you to stop providing for her. She needs to learn. Am I the a-hole for asking my brother to pay $30,000 for my engagement ring? I hosted a family dinner over the weekend, and my brother brought my nephews 4 and 8 over as well. I used to wear my engagement ring all the time, but lately I keep it in my walk-in closet and mainly wear it for special occasions. While I was cleaning up the dinner table, my nephews went to go play while the adults were still in the outdoor patio/outdoor kitchen area, and my brother was not supervising his kids. During this time, my nephews went into the master bedroom without anyone knowing and started playing with everything, including my engagement ring. When we came to look for them, they panicked because they know they aren't supposed to be upstairs, then ran into the master bathroom and flushed my ring. We called a plumber in case it was somehow in the U-trap of the toilet and not actually gone. But nope. Unfortunately, it was gone for good. We still had the original receipt, so I called my brother. I emailed him a scanned copy as proof of the cost and asked him to reimburse me for the ring my nephew flushed. Immediately, he started calling me an a-hole because we are family and he was just a child and has refused to repay the cost of my ring. I told him I will be taking him to court for this, and now my entire family is blowing up my phone, saying families shouldn't sue each other and just let it go. Edit? No, the ring was not insured. I found out the day after my nephew flushed it. My husband says he forgot, and in the end, never actually insured it. My brother says he does not have the money to repay even $100 per month and has refused any kind of repayment plan. He said I live in a nice enough house, and if I want a replacement, I should just sell my car. My brother, to this day, has not truly apologized. It was a Canadian sorry, not sorry. He said kids will do what is normal for kids, and they shouldn't be held responsible for a ring. But they were supposed to supervise their kids outdoors with the rest of the family while I was busy cleaning up. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. His circus, he's monkeys. He wasn't watching them, so that's on him. 100% he should replace your ring. As for all the family who are blowing up at you, it's easy when it didn't happen to them to preach forgiveness. Ignore them. Also, 8 and 4 are more than old enough to know better. My 3-year-old knows not to touch someone else's things in their home without asking. Choices have consequences, and sometimes those consequences are expensive. Sorry this happened to you. 8 and 4 are more than old enough to know better. They did know better. That's why they ran and flushed it. This is the most insane part of the story in my opinion. I get it being kids and all, but what the heck is that? What are these kids learning from their parents? Your $30,000 ring wasn't insured? That's the first thing you're supposed to do, because accidents happen even if you don't wear your ring often. They get stolen or nibblings flush them randomly. Hence, insurance. It's not a deal to sue him because he should never put you in this position. He should have proposed some sort of payment plan in some way, shape, or form. Since he was a giant a-hole about blaming you, now you're not the a-hole taking him to court. Unless you have insurance and can handle it that way. Not a-hole. Your family's right. Families shouldn't sue each other because it should be being repaid without courts. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my daughter to my wedding? I, 37 male, am getting married this fall and have made a choice to not invite my daughter Bella, 16 female, due to circumstances I will explain in this post. Before people tell me that we should sit down and talk or do therapy, those options have been exhausted and are no longer viable. Me and my ex-wife, Teresa, 38 female, do not have a good relationship. We started dating at 16 and then had Bella at 21. At first, everything was awesome, but then my wife started hanging out with a group of women. Just not very good people, and I refused to hang out with them. My wife started drinking heavily with this group and going out at night, leaving me with our daughter. I didn't like how she was keeping up our home either, as I worked full-time and she didn't. But the final straw was when I was forced to come along bar hopping. Teresa got embarrassingly drunk, then started calling me a loser in front of everyone. This was not the first time she had publicly disrespected me. She had a habit of trying to show off to her friend by belittling me. I filed for divorce the next weekend. The original custody agreement was 50-50, which then changed because I asked for a DNA test on Bella. I had heard rumors and wanted to confirm. My ex blew up and refused to allow a DNA test to be done, solidifying what I expected. My ex went back and got pretty much full custody because I refused to pay child support without a DNA test. And this has been the arrangement for 5 years. I see Bella a few times a month. I do what I can, but I don't have custody, so it's difficult. I'm engaged to one of my best friends, Chrissy, 33 female. We've known each other since college, and Bella hates her for no reason. Chrissy wasn't even involved in my life once I got married. Bella for some reason thinks she's terrible, when Chrissy has been nothing but nice to her. Then recently someone showed me Bella's social media, where she blasted us, saying how she had a deadbeat dad. Not true, as I paid for her and her mom for 7 years, and still give her money whenever I see her, and called Chrissy a loose woman in the same post. I was planning my invites for our wedding, and I did not invite Bella. She didn't care for us. She called Chrissy a slur and shamed me on social media, lying for attention. I also don't want drama at my wedding. It should be a fun time, not another event for Bella to hijack. Well, my ex-wife found out about the wedding and asked what Bella's role would be. I told her she didn't have one because she isn't invited. I called Bella and gave her my reasoning, as well as telling her that her posts on social media played a factor, so she should be more careful what lies she wants to put out there. She tried to apologize and say she would behave at the wedding. I told her that I knew she didn't like Chrissy or me that much, so why would she expect an invite? She called me an a-hole, and we haven't spoken since. Am I the a-hole? I wouldn't go as far as calling you an a-hole, but don't expect to be able to salvage any kind of relationship with your daughter in the future. Edit, read again, and change my mind. If you've been wanting a DNA test for 5 years, that means Bella was what, 11 when you decided you wanted one? Which tells her that you only consider her your daughter and want 50-50 custody if she's genetically yours, regardless of the fact that you raised her from childhood. Weird hill to die on if you actually care about her at all, and weird to expect her to want to get along with your fiancé. You're the a-hole. I mean, do most people consider their ex's kid with someone else they were cheating on you with to be theirs? Some people keep in touch with their stepkids after a divorce, but plenty don't. I don't think that is a weird hill to die on. Bella was apparently 11 years old and living with OP half the time. It's really simple to do a cheek swab and send it in for testing. Ex-wife's refusal sounds like an excuse. Daughter, you're the a-hole just for that. Get a court order for a paternity test before you stop paying child support. You also raised this child, but suddenly she isn't your daughter? That is new depths of a-holehood. Legit, and he's upset that his daughter is mad at him for abandoning her. Of course she's not going to like his new wife. As far as she can tell, her dad abandoned her for a new life. You're the a-hole OP. You are a deadbeat and a terrible father. Info, why didn't you have the courts order the DNA test? That's like standard divorce and custody procedure number 1. Your ex would have been held in contempt if she refused a court-ordered DNA test. This makes no sense. Probably because he was already declared her father at birth, because he and the mother were married. Courts usually do not disestablish paternity unless it is directly asked to, since paternity is already established. I'm going to get trashed for this for sure, but why paternity test is an automatic thing? Sure, it's a happy family event when someone is born right there, but sometimes that can be behind lies. Sure, I know laws pretend to protect the child, but at the expense of whom? Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying just because I don't wear my wedding ring doesn't mean I'm trying to hook up? Forgive me if I spell something wrong. My buddy said to post my story here due to all the backlash I'm getting from a job. I, 41 male, have 2 jobs. One is a full-time blue-collar job where I work with cement a lot just for some background. And the other is a small firm another buddy of mine owns as a part-time accounting associate. So at this accounting firm, everyone else knows I'm married and has been married for 17 years, with 2 kids, 14 male and 12 female. They hired a new full-time accountant. Let's call her River. To me, she has been a crowd pleaser, and due to most of work being virtual, we had a much more lax dress code. For context, for my primary job, I work for 10-hour shifts a week, and normally Monday to Thursday. Then Friday and Saturday I work at my buddy's firm, basically do reconciliations on an accrual basis. I normally don't wear my ring because sometimes I have to go help on a project and have lost many rings in cement without realizing it. So I normally don't wear it when I am working because everyone already knows that I am a married man. The only thing I talk about is my family, construction, and accounting. Then some of the guys at the office were talking about River, how she has been dumped by her boyfriend and is looking for a new man. Me, being the kind person I am, said I hope she finds a man who would make her happy. Somehow what I said got to her, and she thought that I was hitting on her. And she came up to me and tried to tell me a sob story about her man was insecure about her having a lonely fence. I said that is definitely a deal breaker for most, so I guess she thought I was saying I am an exception. So she asked if I want to record some content later, and I politely said, no, I am married. She said, why don't you have a ring on then? And I said I don't wear a ring because they normally get lost in cement. She said, you must want to appear single if you don't wear your ring here. And I said, just because I don't wear a ring doesn't mean I want to hook up with some professional. She screamed and called me a misogynistic pig and said she will get me fired. I just laughed and said, you're selling your body for money. Back in my day, they had a name for those. They're professionals. So I ask, am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. You are not the a-hole for the entire post until those last few sentences. Big for your response to her. It was unnecessary and cruel. I bet it made you feel really big though to belittle someone. It was pretty necessary. She asked a coworker to make adult content with her, didn't take no for an answer, and called him a liar and insisted he wanted to appear single. If she's going to be sensual and pushy, she deserves to be insulted. I bet if it was a man doing it to a woman, you'd be saying the exact opposite of what you are now. Yes, honestly, calling her a professional is basically what she was to OP. She wanted to hook up with him in order to get paid, even if it wasn't by OP. Not the a-hole. Also, she is admittedly a worker who was propositioning to you. What does it make her? The only criticism people can make to you is the wording, but she was the one who started by harassing you at work. You should take the initiative and tell your boss before she tries to control the narrative. I hope he heed that advice. He is now in a vulnerable place and cannot trust her. Not the a-hole. You are not wrong. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. He called a spade a spade. She wasn't angry at a time of making money through OF by selling her pictures, but is now angry that people openly associate her with her profession? You stood your ground, man. You are a believer in true gender equality. I completely support you. Same. If I was there, I would have said, get wrecked, after that line. Haha. It sounds like he was dishing the same energy she was giving. But I agree. He should let his supervisor know before she does, and this whole thing becomes more unnecessary drama. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking boyfriend of 3 years to not go to a wedding without me? Me and my boyfriend have been living together for a year and been a couple for a total of 3 years. I've met my boyfriend's childhood friend that I'm now posting about several times, and he has always been very kind to me. However, meeting his fiancée was a different story. She was very rude to me, talked only to my boyfriend, and when I tried to be part of their conversation, she told me that my boyfriend used to be in love with her friend, which I had no idea about since it happened 10 years ago before I was part of his life. I continued to try to be kind to her and complimented her engagement ring, asking when they were supposed to get married. And her reply to me was, "When is your boyfriend going to propose to you?" I was surprised and said, "I don't know," and remained silent for a while, letting them keep their conversation going before asking my boyfriend to come with me to the bar to get a drink. At the bar, I explained I didn't feel very welcome and asked if we could leave. He wanted to stay and we did. I continued to try to be kind to everyone since I don't know most of the people there. I have since then met both my boyfriend's friend and his fiancée again, and it has been fine. However, we recently received a wedding invitation that states that they are getting married this summer. My boyfriend has paid for a bachelor party that includes them going for a weekend in another country. Unfortunately, my name was not on a wedding invitation. However, it was signed, "We look forward to celebrate our special day with you." Since me and my boyfriend have been a couple for 3 years and are living together, we both assumed I'd be included in the invite. But to make sure, my boyfriend asked the groom if it was okay to RSVP for both of us. His friend responded that they couldn't have everyone bring a +1. As my boyfriend thought it was a decision for all of their mutual friends who wasn't married, he said he understood. However, it now seems that I'm the only one of the girlfriends/wives who are not invited. I would really hate for him to miss this event, but clearly the fiancé doesn't like me, and I feel like if my boyfriend went without me, it would be making it okay for her to exclude me for no real reason. I think he should ask his friend why I'm the only one not invited, and ask how his friend would have reacted if it was the other way around and it was them in our situation. They've known each other for nearly 20 years. It just seems wrong to not invite his partner as well. And it's breaking my heart seeing my boyfriend having to choose. Yet, at the same time, I feel as all our mutual friends are going, he should stand up for me. Am I the a-hole? His friend responded that they couldn't have everyone bring a +1. My boyfriend has paid for a bachelor party that includes them going for a weekend in another country. So the person who paid for his bachelor party in another country can't bring a +1? Not the a-hole. They are. And so is your boyfriend if he accepts this behavior towards you. If my friend tried this, I would cancel all the reservations except the flight. They can figure it out when they get there. No, not the a-hole. And Opie's boyfriend should be ashamed of his lack of spine. Not the a-hole. This is BS, and they are clearly isolating you. Your boyfriend paid for a bachelor party in another country, and yet they can't afford to invite his long-term partner. That's incredibly tacky, and they clearly think snubbing you is more important than your boyfriend's friendship. How on earth is your boyfriend not furious about this rudeness to you, and also rudeness to him? Can he not see how everyone else is getting a +1 but not him? Is he not embarrassed? They want to get the boyfriend hooked back up with his old love, the bride-to-be's best friend. Boyfriend should insist on Opie attending, or he should withdraw from the wedding and all the preparations. Anything short of this shows his lack of respect/support with Opie. Not the a-hole. Ask your boyfriend to tell his bestie that it's not fair for you to be excluded when all of the other girlfriends have been invited. If they continue to exclude you after that conversation, and your boyfriend wants to go without you, or if he doesn't stand up for you and have this conversation, he doesn't care about you enough for you to stay with him.